Have you ever wondered why, no matter how much effort you put in, dating still feels like a game you keep losing? You show up, you try to be kind, you try to say the right things, but somehow it never seems to click. Deep down, you start to question yourself. You wonder if maybe you're not attractive enough, not confident enough, not interesting enough. But here's the truth. It's not that you're not enough. It's that you've been taught to play the wrong game. Winning in dating has never been about impressing someone else. It's about mastering yourself. You see, most people enter dating trying to win approval. They chase validation. They want someone to see their worth before they've learned to see it themselves. But attraction doesn't grow from need. It grows from energy, the silent language that speaks before words ever do. People don't fall for what you say. They fall for how they feel around you. And if you're carrying self-doubt, people will feel it. You can't hide it with jokes or charm. You can't mask insecurity with compliments or effort. Energy doesn't lie. When you feel incomplete, your presence unconsciously asks others to fill your emptiness. That pressure kills attraction, because nobody wants to complete someone. They want to connect with someone who's already whole. Confidence isn't loud. It's not arrogance, and it's not pretending to be someone you're not. Real confidence is quiet strength. It's the peace that says, I don't need to chase what's meant for me. It's the calm belief that your value doesn't rise or fall based on who likes you or who leaves. When you carry that kind of energy, you stop competing, you stop chasing, you begin to attract naturally, effortlessly, powerfully. The people who win in dating are not the ones with the best looks or the most charm. They're the ones who are grounded. They know their worth. They can walk away from what doesn't respect their peace. They don't beg for love, they become love. And that energy draws others in without even trying. You attract what you believe you deserve. If you secretly think you're unworthy, you'll tolerate less. You'll stay where you're not valued, hoping things will change. But if you start valuing yourself deeply, unapologetically, everything changes. You stop chasing people who treat you like an option. You stop explaining your worth. You start standing taller, speaking clearer, smiling with purpose. And here's the emotional reward. When you become this kind of person, dating stops being a battlefield. It becomes a mirror. Every connection you make reflects your inner growth. You begin attracting people who see you the way you've learned to see yourself, as someone rare, confident, and whole. So stay with me, because this journey isn't about tricks, tactics, or trying harder. It's about becoming someone who no longer needs to play games to be noticed. Someone who radiates peace, self-respect, and purpose. Because once you master that energy, once you truly understand your worth, you don't just win in dating, you win in life. And that's where your power begins. Everything you attract in dating begins with how you see yourself. Before a single word is spoken, before a single glance is exchanged, your energy has already spoken for you. People don't respond to what you say, they respond to what you believe. Your self-image is the invisible signal that determines whether you pull others closer or push them away. It's the silent conversation happening underneath every interaction, and it's far more powerful than you realize. When you look in the mirror, what do you truly see? Do you see someone who deserves love or someone trying to earn it? Because your subconscious mind listens carefully to the way you describe yourself. Every self-criticism, every hidden doubt, every quiet "I'm not enough" becomes a command that shapes how you show up in the world. And people feel it. They sense when you're uncertain. They sense when your confidence is just a mask. But they also sense when your energy says, I know who I am. That kind of presence can't be faked. It's magnetic. The world mirrors your internal dialogue. If you carry peace, people feel safe around you. If you carry insecurity, they hesitate. When you believe you're valuable, others naturally treat you that way. This is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's about building a relationship with yourself so strong that nobody's opinion can shake it. When your inner world is calm, your outer world follows. The mistake most people make in dating is thinking attraction starts with appearance or performance. But attraction is an emotional response to energy. You can dress beautifully, speak perfectly, and still repel connection if your energy is anxious or needy. That's why self-work isn't optional. It's the foundation of everything. You can't demand love from others while rejecting yourself. You can't expect respect while constantly doubting your own worth. If you want to win in dating, stop chasing attention and start cultivating presence. Start feeding your mind with thoughts that empower you. Speak to yourself as someone who deserves peace, not someone begging for it. Replace "I hope they like me" with I hope I like who I am around them. That single shift changes everything. It moves you from seeking validation to expressing value. It turns dating from a chase into a choice. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. When you show up centered and confident, you naturally filter out the wrong people, not by force, but by frequency. The ones who can't match your peace will drift away, and the ones who align with your energy will be drawn in without resistance. That's how attraction really works. Through resonance, not effort. The moment you decide to see yourself differently, everything outside you begins to rearrange. Your energy sharpens, your confidence rises. You stop needing to prove your worth because you live it. You stop performing and start being. That's when dating becomes effortless. Not because people change, but because you do. So let your energy speak louder than your words. Let your self-image become your power. Because the day you realize that you are already complete is the day love starts chasing you. Emotional strength is what separates those who rise in love from those who crumble in it. It's not built from pretending to be unaffected, but from mastering your reactions when life or love tests you. The truth is, dating will test you. People will pull away, misunderstand you, cancel plans, and sometimes go silent without explanation. In those moments, your emotional control decides everything. Most people panic. They chase. They overthink. They try to fix what was never theirs to fix. But the strong don't chase chaos. They protect their peace. Your emotions are powerful, but they are not meant to control you. Emotional maturity is the ability to feel deeply without losing yourself in the process. It's being aware of what you feel, but not letting it dictate how you act. That's what makes you magnetic, not because you're cold or detached, but because you're grounded. When you can stay calm in the face of uncertainty, you become rare, and people feel that stability. They trust it. They respect it. The human mind is wired to seek safety. We're drawn to what feels steady, balanced, emotionally consistent. When you become that safe space, attraction grows naturally, not because you're trying harder, but because your energy communicates peace. And peace is irresistible in a world that's addicted to chaos. Emotional strength is the quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, no matter what happens. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You stop begging for clarity from people who thrive on confusion. You stop reacting to every text, every pause, every signal. You start responding with calm awareness instead of desperation. That's what emotional intelligence looks like. The ability to stay composed without suppressing your truth. You can express yourself with honesty, but without surrendering your dignity. That balance is power. Psychology teaches that emotional regulation is one of the most attractive human traits. It signals maturity, discipline, and inner confidence. When you stay composed under pressure, it tells others you can handle life. Not just moments of comfort, but moments of challenge. That's the energy people want to be around. It feels safe. It feels strong. It feels real. Winning in dating is not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. The more control you have over your emotions, the more freedom you have in your connections. When you no longer react out of fear, you can choose love from a place of power, not weakness. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to fight for attention. You simply exist as someone who knows their value. And that energy draws everything meant for you closer. Every time you hold your ground instead of chasing, you reinforce your strength. Every time you choose silence over arguments, peace over panic, and dignity over desperation, you rise. You teach the world that your emotions serve you. They don't rule you. And when you reach that level of control, something shifts. You stop fearing loss. You stop seeking constant reassurance. You start realizing that anyone who truly values you will match your calm, not challenge it. Emotional strength doesn't just make you attractive. It makes you untouchable. Because when you can master your emotions, no one can ever control you again. Connection begins and ends with communication. Not the kind that fills silence, but the kind that reaches the soul. Most people speak to be heard, but few speak to connect. They talk to prove a point, to gain approval, or to fill the emptiness that silence exposes. But the truth is, communication isn't about the words you choose. It's about the energy behind them. People don't remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel when you said it. When you speak from insecurity, every word carries tension. When you speak from confidence, your presence itself becomes language. You can sense when someone is listening just to respond, and you can sense when someone listens to understand. The first feels shallow. The second feels safe. That safety is what builds emotional intimacy. It's what makes someone feel seen, valued, and understood. And that's the foundation of attraction that lasts. The problem is, most people communicate from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of being too much or not enough. But when fear drives your words, connection dies. Real communication is born from truth, not performance. It's when you allow yourself to be real without trying to impress, when you stop overanalyzing and start expressing. That kind of honesty doesn't push people away. It pulls the right ones closer. The strongest form of communication isn't loud, it's calm. It's not about dominating a conversation, but creating space for one. It's the ability to express what you feel without aggression and to listen without judgment. When you master that, you no longer argue to win. You speak to grow. You don't seek validation. You seek understanding. And that shift turns confusion into clarity, tension into connection. Psychology shows that deep emotional communication triggers oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It builds trust, safety, and closeness. When you speak with presence, when you truly listen, you make someone feel emotionally at home. That's a feeling most people rarely experience, and that's why they remember you long after the conversation ends. But communication isn't just about words, it's also about silence. Silence reveals truth. The pauses between your words tell others how comfortable you are in your own energy. The confident don't rush to fill the void. They let silence breathe because they know connection isn't built through noise, but through presence. The way you hold eye contact, the calm in your tone, the steadiness in your expression, these things speak volumes. They show certainty, maturity, and peace. When you learn to communicate with emotional intelligence, you no longer chase understanding. You create it. You no longer fear miscommunication, you guide it. Because you understand that every word you speak either builds a bridge or builds a wall. The choice is always yours. So communicate with purpose. Speak with clarity. Listen with your heart. Say less, mean more. When your words and energy align, people feel something deeper than attraction. They feel trust. And trust is what keeps hearts connected long after words fade. Attraction thrives on balance, the perfect blend of openness and mystery. When everything about you is exposed too soon, curiosity dies. The human mind is wired to value what it must slowly uncover. That's not manipulation, that's psychology. The more people have to earn access to your inner world, the more they respect it. But when you rush to please, to impress, to overshare, you rob others of the chance to be curious about you. And without curiosity, attraction fades. Mystery isn't about playing games or pretending to be distant. It's about holding something sacred, your time, your emotions, your energy. It's about living a life that already fulfills you, so no one becomes your only source of excitement. People are drawn to depth, not desperation. They want to feel that you have layers, that you're someone who adds to their life, not someone who depends on them to feel alive. The mind craves challenge. What comes too easily often goes unappreciated. That's why emotional discipline creates attraction. When you don't reveal everything, when you take your time, when you show that you have purpose and direction outside of dating, you create an energy of value. You stop signaling neediness and start radiating independence. And that's magnetic. It tells others that your attention is earned, not handed out freely. Mystery doesn't mean hiding who you are, it means protecting what matters. It's knowing that your emotions, your dreams, and your peace are valuable and should be shared only with those who prove they can handle them with care. It's about knowing when to engage and when to pull back, not to punish but to preserve your power. Every time you withhold the urge to overshare or overexplain, you remind yourself that your energy is precious. Psychologically, this balance of availability and restraint creates tension, the good kind. It's the feeling of anticipation, the unspoken what's next, that keeps people interested. Humans are drawn to mystery because it activates imagination. And imagination creates emotional investment. When someone can't quite figure you out, they think about you. They analyze your silence, your calmness, your composure. That's the power of presence. You don't need to chase. Your energy does the work for you. But this isn't about pretending to be cold or detached. True mystery isn't created through distance, it's created through depth. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you maintain your peace when others lose theirs, the way you express your truth without fear. It's about being transparent enough to be real, yet reserved enough to remain intriguing. That balance draws people in because it's rare. To win in dating, build a life so rich that someone has to rise to meet you. Let your purpose speak louder than your availability. When you live with direction, you naturally become the kind of person others want to understand. You no longer beg for attention, you command it through your energy, your focus, your discipline. So don't be afraid to be a mystery. Don't rush to be understood. Be patient. Be intentional. Let people earn the right to know your story. Because when you honor your own depth, the world begins to see you differently. Not as someone to chase, but as someone worth discovering. Boundaries are not barriers. They are the invisible proof of your self-respect. They are the lines that separate what empowers you from what drains you. In dating, most people lose not because they lack love, but because they lack limits. They give too much too soon to people who have done nothing to earn it. They confuse tolerance with kindness and endurance with loyalty. But boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about protecting your peace. They teach others how to love you, not through words, but through your consistency. When you have no boundaries, you invite chaos. You attract situations that test your patience instead of honoring your worth. You begin to shrink yourself to keep others comfortable, believing that silence will bring you love. But every time you betray your boundaries, you weaken your energy. You lose respect for yourself, and others follow your lead. People can sense when you don't value yourself, and they mirror it. Boundaries, on the other hand, communicate strength without a single word. They say, I respect myself enough to choose peace over pressure. True attraction is born from respect, and respect is born from clarity. When you know your limits, you stop chasing connection and start creating it. You stop reacting out of fear and start responding with power. A boundary isn't a wall that blocks love, it's a filter that refines it. It allows in what aligns and keeps out what doesn't. That's not cruelty, that's emotional intelligence. It's choosing to love yourself enough not to settle for confusion. Psychology shows that boundaries create security in relationships because they signal stability and self-control. They show you are not ruled by impulse, that you can stand alone if necessary, and that independence is deeply attractive. People trust those who can say no. They respect those who don't trade their values for validation. When you stand firm, you shift the dynamic. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. Your actions already do it. Every time you uphold your boundaries, you strengthen your energy field. You teach your heart that peace matters more than temporary attention. You remind your mind that solitude is better than settling. You build an identity rooted in self-trust, not fear. And that self-trust radiates outward. It changes the kind of people who notice you, the kind of energy you attract, the kind of love you accept. Boundaries are not about being unkind. They are about being clear. You can love deeply while still saying no. You can care without being consumed. You can be compassionate without being controlled. That balance is where power lives. That's where attraction deepens, not through sacrifice, but through self-respect. To win in dating, you must value your peace more than attention. You must be willing to walk away from anything that costs your self-worth. Because the moment you choose peace over approval, you shift your frequency. You stop being the one who chases and become the one who attracts. And that shift is where real love begins. Love that recognizes your boundaries not as resistance, but as the proof of your strength. The greatest shift you will ever experience in dating begins the moment you realize that you are the prize. Not because you are better than anyone else, but because you have finally stopped begging for love and started embodying it. When you live with that awareness, you stop chasing people who can't see your worth. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You move differently. You walk with quiet certainty, knowing that connection is not something you earn. It's something that aligns when you are whole within yourself. Becoming the prize is not arrogance, it's awakening. It's understanding that you bring value simply by being authentic. You don't have to prove your worth through effort, appearance, or approval. You prove it through presence, through how you carry yourself, how you treat yourself, how you refuse to settle for anything that dishonors your growth. That energy cannot be ignored. People feel it. They sense it in your calm, your boundaries, your silence, and it commands respect long before attraction even begins. The more you build yourself, the less you chase others. You begin to realize that peace is the real luxury. You stop confusing attention with affection and chemistry with connection. You start craving depth, honesty, consistency. You become selective, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because when you know your value, your standards rise naturally. You no longer entertain energy that drains you or people who only see your surface. You want those who recognize your depth, who match your focus, who move with the same intention. Psychologically, people are drawn to those who live with self-assured energy. The human mind associates confidence with value. When you walk into a room already complete, you shift the power dynamic without saying a word. You radiate something unspoken, a sense of wholeness that others crave but rarely understand. That's why self-love is not just healing. It's magnetic. It draws to you people who are ready for the same level of growth, and it repels those who aren't. When you become the prize, rejection stops feeling like loss. You start seeing it as redirection, protection in disguise. You stop forcing what doesn't align because you trust that what's meant for you won't need chasing. You begin to love yourself in such a way that being alone no longer feels empty, because you've learned that solitude is strength. It's the space where clarity grows and power rebuilds. From that place, dating transforms. It's no longer about searching for completion. It's about sharing abundance. You were never meant to beg for love. You were meant to embody it. Every time you honor your worth, every time you choose peace over attention, every time you walk away from what doesn't serve your soul, you rise. You evolve from wanting to be chosen to realizing you already are. The more you align with your purpose, the more you become magnetic to those who recognize it. You stop trying to fit in and start standing out effortlessly. That's what it means to win in dating, to live so powerfully within your truth that love becomes the natural reflection of your growth. Not a chase, not a battle, not a test, but an extension of your own wholeness. When you reach that level of awareness, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You already are everything you are searching for. And from that place, love doesn't complete you. It joins you. Winning in dating is not about finding the perfect person. It's about becoming the kind of person who attracts the right energy effortlessly. Most people look outward. They chase beauty, validation, and excitement, but they overlook the truth that attraction begins internally. You attract what you believe you deserve. You draw to you the mirror of your own energy. If your heart is filled with insecurity, you'll meet people who confirm it. But when your heart radiates self-respect, you'll meet people who match it. The mind is always seeking emotional safety. Deep down, we don't want chaos. We want connection. We want someone who feels like peace, not a battlefield, but peace begins with you. When you learn to calm your own storms, you stop being drawn to people who thrive in them. You stop repeating cycles with those who confuse drama for passion and inconsistency for love. You begin to choose differently because your energy has evolved. And that evolution shifts everything about how you date, how you communicate, and how you allow yourself to be treated. The truth is, attraction without alignment leads to exhaustion. You can desire someone deeply and still recognize they're not meant for your growth. Emotional intelligence is understanding that not everyone who enters your life deserves a permanent place in it. It's realizing that love without balance becomes dependency, and passion without respect becomes chaos. Growth teaches you that a connection is only as strong as the peace it brings into your life. That's why the most magnetic people are those who live with emotional discipline. They don't react, they respond, they don't chase, they attract. They don't lose themselves trying to keep someone else. Their power comes from their ability to stay centered even in the face of uncertainty. That calm confidence, that inner stability is irresistible because deep down every person is searching for someone who doesn't need them to be okay, someone who chooses them from fullness, not from fear. Psychologically, humans crave emotional safety more than excitement. We want to be seen, understood, and valued. When you operate from self-respect, you naturally create that safety for yourself, and others feel it. It makes you trustworthy. It makes you rare because so few people truly know themselves, and when you do, you stand out without trying. You become the grounding presence in a world full of noise, and people are drawn to that like gravity. When you stop searching for love and start becoming love, everything shifts. You no longer look for someone to fill your emptiness. You look for someone to grow with. You start filtering people not by how they make you feel in the moment, but by how they affect your peace long term. You stop entertaining confusion because you've learned that clarity is a form of respect. You stop negotiating your boundaries because you understand that losing yourself is never the price of keeping anyone. This is how you win. By rising above the emotional chaos that traps most people. You win by mastering your energy, by being intentional with your attention, by choosing growth over games. The person who knows their value cannot be manipulated by scarcity. They don't settle for crumbs because they know the table they bring. And that power, quiet, unshakable, grounded, is what transforms dating from a battlefield into a mirror of your evolution. You stop playing to be chosen. You start living to be aligned. And that's where real connection begins, not in the chase, but in the calm that comes from knowing exactly who you are.